Hey, welcome to Radical Godly Stewardship Podcast. This is episode number 19. I am Dr. Lexi Johnson, and today we are talking about ruling your money. That's correct, ruling your money. Listen, most people don't have a money problem. I know, right? What do you mean we don't have money problems? Most people don't have a money problem. They have a money management problem. There is a difference, okay? And if you are still budgeting the world's way or any other way but God's way, you're still trying to cut expenses and hope for leftovers, then you're already behind, right? Kingdom stewardship is about allocation before budgeting, allocating before budgeting. So today, I am exposing why traditional budgeting keeps you broke and how allocating your money into the right categories will set you up for dominion. So listen, grab your notebooks, grab your pens, your pencils, your highlighters, your favorite healthy beverage, right? And join me right after this intro. We're going to get right to it. Hey there, wealth saving and investing. And I'm 1 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 1 and 2. I'm saying that finances is not a set for Y'all, I be bopping to that music. All right. Anyway, hey, welcome to episode number 19 of the Radical Godly Stewardship Podcast. I am the Dr. Lexi Johnson. Today we're talking about rule your money. Rule your money. Listen, tag somebody in the comments, share the broadcast out. Okay, let them know that we're on because I am quite sure that there are people on your timeline who can benefit from what I'm getting ready to say today. Okay, now let me do something over here, which is quiet the notifications, right? So that y'all are not hearing them. And we're going to dig in. We are going to dig in. All right. So let's talk about the problem with traditional budgeting, right? I'm going to get right to it. The world teaches budgeting as a reaction. It's bottom line. Spend first, then figure out how to make it work. Okay. But the kingdom teaches that you have to allocate first. Then you're going to steward within those boundaries. Okay. So you may have been wondering, goodness, how is it that, I've been told, hey, make a budget, do a budget. I'm sitting here, I'm doing a budget every month. I'm doing a budget every week. I'm doing a budget every quarter. Some of y'all don't budget but once a year. Some of y'all don't budget at all. Okay. So you're not even doing that. But you may be wondering, man, I'm doing this budgeting thing, but it has not helped. Like I am still in the same situation that I'm in. I'm still paycheck to paycheck. I'm still, not getting ahead. I'm still struggling. And that's because budgeting is reactionary. Okay. It is not proactive. It's reactionary. All right. It masks itself as proactive, but it really isn't. I want to give you a scripture because that's what we're about over here, right? Scriptures, practical application, right? So we're going to give you scripture. And the scripture I want to give you today is Proverbs chapter 27, verse 23. Proverbs chapter 27, verse 23. And I believe I have the New Living Translation up. Whatever translation you have, you can follow along. And it says, be sure you know the condition of your flocks. Give careful attention to your herds. Now, you might be saying, now, come on, Dr. Lexi, whoever you are, whatever title you're carrying today. You might be saying, what does herds and flocks have to do with my money today in this century? What does that have to do with any of that? But the truth of the matter is, just because they used, flocks and herds as a means of exchange, or they bartered, or whatever the case may be, it's the same thing, because they were tools of exchange. Money is a tool of exchange, okay? The greenbacks that we have in the United States and the various different currencies that you have around the world, the Naira, yes, in Nigeria, the SETI in Ghana, you just look, the peso in Mexico, um, doesn't matter, okay? Got to give careful attention to it. You got to know the condition. If you don't allocate your money before you spend it, you're going to be operating in chaos, not stewardship. And I bet that many of you listening can resonate with that. I know that that was the case for me some years ago before I learned this principle, because I was that girl, right? What is going on? I'm budgeting. I know this is the amount that's coming in on my check. And so now I'm budgeting, I'm putting everything on here that I know that I have to spend. And that's the problem. That's the problem. Okay. Because though it seems like you're doing something proactive, it is a very reactionary thing. With allocating, you are determining what your money's going to do before it even comes in. You may or may not even know exactly what is getting ready to come in. Some people have a very steady paycheck. They know what's coming in, and that's fine. Others of us who are entrepreneurs like myself, it varies from day to day, from week to week, from month to month. And so we're not necessarily sure what's going to be coming in, right? So I just want to put this thought out there before we go any further. If your money disappears every month and you have no idea where it went, you're not broke. I will say that again. You're not broke. You're something, but you're not broke. And I'm about to tell you what it is. If your money disappears every month and you have no idea where it went, you're not broke. You're irresponsible. Yep, I said it, right? Because we actually have to confront our behavior. If there's going to be any change, we have to confront our behavior. We have to stop rationalizing the behavior. We have to stop turning a blind eye to it, right? If our money disappears every month and we don't even really have an idea where it all went, it's not that we're broke, it's that we're irresponsible. Okay. So there is a 4-part allocation system that I teach my clients. I'm going to give you a high level overview of it today. You can take this and pray on it and, ask God to give you the rest. Or you can just join my financial group coaching program, Financial Rebellion, which kicks off tonight. We have our meet and greet tonight. So, hey, you might want to go over to the website, check it out. It's mm4h.life. Click on financial coaching. And, you might want to get in this thing. All right. We got only like 2 slots left. All right. So anyway, the 4-part kingdom allocation system. Okay. Here are the 4 parts. The first is household expenses. These are your needs or your obligations. These are your essentials like housing, food, transportation, insurance, like the things that must have, okay? Either they are necessary to your life, right? To sustain your life, I should say. Because some of us, we be saying, and I know I just used bad grammar, but some of us, we are saying that we need things. Oh, I need this for my life, but it's not needed to sustain our lives, right? So housing, food, transportation, insurance, you might have to pay the daycare, otherwise you can't go to work. That's an obligation, those types of things, right? That's household expenses. That's one area. The next area is discretionary. Okay, discretionary. And these are your wants. These are your non essentials like dining out, shopping, entertainment, haircuts. Yes, getting the haircuts, the hair done, the nails done, you know, the excessive clothing, right? So we need clothes, but there's the basics of what we need, right? And then overabundance. All right. So discretionary are the wants, clothing, overabundance of clothing, dining out, shopping, entertainment, hanging out, all that, trips, all of that, right? Discretionary. There's giving, okay? So I like to refer to this sometimes as kingdom assignments, right? So whether you are blessing other individuals, wedding gifts, birthday gifts, charitable giving, right? All under the giving part. And then there's what I called profit first, which is your wealth building. Now, profit first, and I'm actually going to switch that, but profit first, because I always want to give credit where credit is due. There is a book called Profit First by the author Mike Michalowicz. Okay. So this part, this section is your saving, your investing, your emergency fund. I like to call it the multiplier. Okay. That's how you build wealth, by multiplication. All right. Let me give you another scripture. Luke chapter 16, verse 10. Luke chapter 16, verse 10. It reads, whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. When you implement this 4-part kingdom allocation system, what you're saying to the Almighty Yah is, I am going to show you that I can be faithful with the little. I am making plans ahead of time, right? Telling this money what it's going to do for me and not the other way around. I am ruling this money. Listen, allocating is like, so mindset is the foundation, right? But when we start getting into the tactical types of things, allocating is where it begins. That's where it begins. Okay. You cannot get to multiplication or domination without that. Okay. So the Bible, the word promises us that if we can be a good steward over the little bit that we have, then he will surely trust us with more. And I also want to say that there is in the kingdom a priority to these 4 things, right? And the priority is giving. The priority is giving. Okay? Giving, multiplying. That's the Genesis 1:28, produce, multiply, dominate. So whatever is to that end first is the priority. Okay? So if you don't allocate first, your money is going to control you instead of you controlling your money. And that's how we end up becoming irresponsible. And that's why the Almighty is not moving on your behalf as far as money is concerned. You might see little influxes here and there. You may even get some raises here and there. But you have not had sustained success because you haven't proven yourself a good steward. All right. I got a question for you. Does your spending reflect obedience to God? Or are you letting your emotions dictate where your money goes? Don't be so quick to answer either. Okay? Really think about it. In fact, most people want to answer off the top of their head, but I'm going to say, look, go look at your bank statements because they don't lie. Your bank statements, your credit card statements, wherever you're doing your spending, they do not lie. Go and look at those things and see if they reflect obedience to God, or see if they are, your emotions are running the show. Today, I feel like getting this. Today, I feel like getting that, right? Oh, I'm just stressed out. let me go spend money, right? Or I'm angry, let me go spend money, or whatever it is, right? Or your money is definitely a reflection of the God you serve. So, which God are you serving? Hey, Minister Hope, good to see you. Good to see you. All right. So, which God are you serving? Right? Okay. Now, let's talk about how you implement this allocation system. Step one, you got to set fixed percentages. Okay. So, you got to decide what percentage of your income will go into each allocation. All right. When I work with my clients, I help them to decide this so that, they don't have to be like guessing, because they're not the money expert, right? And that's not a bad thing, right? But they need help. Most people do. So I help them to decide what their percentages, um, percentages should be, right? And listen, this is not a set it and forget it thing. Like, you have to regularly review to make sure that things are still moving the way they should, right? So you might say 50% of my income goes to my needs, 10% to giving, 20% to wealth building, although it really should be flipped, 20% to giving and 10% to wealth building, or 20, whatever, and 20% to discretionary, right? That might work for you. Somebody else might need 60% for their needs, 20% for giving, 15% for wealth building, and the balance to discretionary. Or somebody else it may be 70%, and that's where they have to start. So you said you're starting allocations, but the goal is always to get to the place where you're increasing your giving and you're increasing your wealth building. Produce, multiply, dominate, right? Okay. So that's step one. You got to set your fixed percentages. Step two, pay your allocations first. So when that money comes in, and honestly, because it should be 100%, there shouldn't be a penny that's just kind of left over idle doing nothing, right? It should all have a place to go. So the world tells you to pay your bills first. Mhm. Now, they may say things like, oh, you need to pay yourself first. But in actuality, when you look at what you're actually doing, that's not what you're doing, because the world conditions you to pay your bills first. What, Lacey, what are you saying? Don't pay my bills? I ain't saying don't pay your bills. You pay your bills, right? But Kingdom Stewardship tells you to fund your allocations. So as your money comes in, if you designated 50% to your household expenses, that 50% of your income is going to go to that account. If you allocated 20% to giving, 20% of your income when it comes in, you're going to allocate it to your giving account. If you allocated 10% to your wealth building, when your income comes in, 10% is going to go to your wealth building account. Yes, these are each separate accounts. And then 20% to discretionary. Well, when your income comes in, 20% is going to go to your discretionary. Yes, they are each separate accounts. You, in essence, will have 5 accounts. One account where all the money comes in, and then the 4 other accounts where your money will go out. Now, you can set this up on automation, right? There's ways to do that. You can set it up on automation. You can, once your allocations are figured out, if you work a 9 to 5, a lot of places now allow you to split up your direct deposit into 3 or 4 different bank accounts, right? So you can have it set from jump. If your job doesn't allow you to do that, though, then your banks, okay, will allow you to set up some automatic transfers between accounts. All right. So no excuses. All right. So that's step 2. Okay. The world tells you pay your bills first, but no, Kingdom Stewardship says you're going to fund your allocations. All right. Step 1, set your fixed percentages. Step 2, fund your allocations. All right. Now, step 3, now you're going to budget within your allocations. That's where budgeting comes in. Okay. So if 50% of your income is going to your household expenses, your needs, your obligations, now you say, okay, I got 50%. Let's just say you made $8,000. I'm just throwing out a number, $8,000 that month. $4,000, that's 50%, is going to your household needs. So you're going to take that 4,000 and you're going to budget within that. So every need, every obligation that you have, whether it's rent or mortgage, your car note, your utility bills, cell phone bills, whatever your needs. Now you're going to take that 4,000 and you're going to budget those things within that. And if you find that you're over that $4,000, then listen, something in that section, you need to go find another deal, right? It'll to lower the things, or you need to find a way to make some more money. Okay. All right. So you're going to budget within your allocations. So instead of restricting spending randomly, now you make decisions ahead of time within your allocated amounts. Okay. All right. So those are the 3 steps on how you implement allocations. Okay. All right. I hope this is good to y'all. I hope it's helpful. Let me know whether you're watching live or whether you're watching the replay. Okay. Let me know if this has been helpful. So now, of course, I start out and, I've given you some practical application already in terms of how to get the allocation system going. But I want to give you some other practical applications, like what can you do now that you've heard this? When this show ends, what can you do? Number 1, create your kingdom allocations plan. Decide what your percentages are and commit to allocating before you start spending. Okay? Most of us, a check comes in and spent before it even comes in. How about your allocations are set up before it even comes in? All right, let's do that. So create your kingdom allocations plan. Number 2, weekly check-in, right? Review your allocations on a weekly basis, especially as you're getting started. Now, once you get used to the whole process, you can probably, do once a month, just checking and making sure. But, quarterly, I would say check monthly, but then every quarter and then every year, once a year, like you're going to really sit down and look at those allocations, see if there's been any changes because things change, right? And readjust as needed. All right. Number 3, you're going to eliminate spending leaks. So identify where your money is slipping away, because we talked about that at the beginning of the show, right? About, the money comes in and then you're spending, you don't even know where it went. You cannot even recall if someone said, write down where did your money go this past 7 days or past 14 days. You can't even write down what you did with every penny. And that's not cool. Okay. But when you allocate like this, you definitely know what you did with every penny. Okay. You don't have to think about it. You already know. So you're going to identify areas where money is slipping away, and you're going to redirect it to your allocations. Like some common areas where money slips away is the eating out, like the fast food, right? Because it's so convenient. Or, if you work a 9 to 5, it's easy to do. Everybody's headed out to lunch, every day. And so you can waste a lot of money there. You can waste a lot of money in telecommunications. Yeah. Phone plans, all that stuff. Internet bills, cable bills. I guess we got people still doing that, right? And streaming now is getting ridiculous. You don't need that many streaming platforms, right? You need maybe 1 or 2. Because I don't know about you, but I don't have time to be watching all that stuff anyway. Like, I don't need any of the streaming platforms really, because I don't have time to watch anything. All right. So anyway, those are the practical applications. So let me review those really quickly again. And listen, if you guys have any questions, just drop them in the chat. I'm happy to answer them, okay, before I get out of here. All right. Here's your practical application. One more time. 1, create your kingdom allocation plans. 2, weekly cash flow check-in. Okay. And number 3, eliminate spending leaks. Because we all have them to some degree or not. Okay. We all have them. Like even myself, I have to um, check myself every quarter, right? Because I don't subscribe to something. Oh, I need this platform for my business, or, I want to be part of this thing or whatever. And so even I have to go back every quarter and just make sure, hey, that subscription that you just took out over this past quarter, do you really need it? Right? How is it interfering with anything else? Right? So even I have to do this, y'all. All right. So here's the deal. If you are still struggling to manage your money God's way, I want you to download my free Stop Begging God for Money guide. Okay. If you go into the description or into the show notes, there is a link there where you can download that guide. That's the first step. Okay. That is the first step. Get the guide. It's a very easy read, great tips with practical application, of course, because it wouldn't be me if it didn't have practical application in there. All right. The next thing that I want to share with you is, especially for those of us who are kingdom citizens, right? There is a spiritual aspect to everything that we do physically. So gain clarity, right? What is one of the ways in which you can gain clarity for what you're going to be doing in your finances this year? And one of the best ways to do that is to fast. Okay. You can join the Unshakable Fast for Finances. We did the fast live the 1st through the 14th. But listen, you can get all the recordings, right? You can get all the same blessings that the people who attended from the 1st to the 14th did. You can get the same. Okay. So it's a very structured fast. It teaches you the proper way to fast. And then there are teachings each day, right? That will help you on your financial journey. It will help you to get clarity. It will help you to understand what God expects of you in terms of finances and so much more. Okay. And that costs you nothing. So look, 2 resources I have given you that cost you nothing. The Stop Begging God for Money guide. Go get it. Don't cost you nothing but a few minutes to read. And actually, it should take you, it is an easy read. It will take a few minutes if you read it from, front to back. But what you should be doing is, because I gave you practical application, is you should read step 1, do step 1. Then only go to step 2 when you've done step 1. You understand what I'm saying? All right. Anyway, I was saying you got 2 free resources. It's the guide and the fast. 14 teachings. Okay. So there are no excuses. You may not have money to join my financial coaching program, which I'm going to talk about here in a moment. You may not have the money to do that. But you have those 2 free resources, which will guide you through the same steps. Okay, won't be as in depth as it is if you would be in a coaching program, or you may not get the hand holding or whatever. But it's something, right? Until you can join the 90-day financial group coaching program called Financial Rebellion, where you're going to become a master at allocating, producing, multiplying, dominating, stewarding, and so much more. Okay. We kick off tonight. Our meet and greet is tonight. Go check it out, mm4h.life. And if this is your time to be in here, then don't miss it. Okay. Do not miss it. Just about any question you have about it will be on that site. But of course, you can DM me. You can email me, support at mm4h.life for any questions that you may have. It's 2 slots, and perhaps that slot is for you. Well, listen, that brings us to the end of our episode today. I want to leave you with this closing. What is wrong with me? Closing thought. Okay. Your money needs a plan, not a prayer. Okay. You've been praying. and praying. And praying. And the Lord said, I already told you in Deuteronomy 8:18 that you have the ability to create wealth. So your money don't need a prayer, it needs a plan. Okay. If you're just hoping that things are going to work out financially without setting up a kingdom allocation system, then you're playing yourself. That's how we used to say back in the day. You just got played. I'm dating myself for real, but you're fooling yourself. Okay. You want to step into financial dominion today by mastering your cash flow. Okay. Because if you don't tell your money where to go, it will leave without permission. I'm going to say that one more time. If you don't tell your money where to go, it will certainly leave without your permission. Okay. All right. So that's all that I have for you all. Thank you for joining me on today. Remember, if you enjoyed this broadcast, number one, share it. Number two, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, hit the bell, all those things. If you're watching on Facebook, wherever, give us a like, some hearts, all those things. Definitely share it. But we'll see you next 30. Can I get my words together today? Next Thursday, 12:30 Eastern, for another installment of the Radical Godly Stewardship podcast. God bless you. Let's continue to produce, multiply, and dominate. See you next time.